defended your methodology because you believe in an enduring constitution, as you put it, rather than an evolving constitution. I hope I'm not quoting you incorrectly.
Very well put.
Well, but I want to hear more from you. I wonder if you could explain what you mean by the concept of an enduring constitution.
Well, look, in its most important aspects, most of which are in the Bill of Rights, I suppose, the Constitution tells the current society that it cannot do what it wants to do. It is a decision that the society has made that in order to take certain actions, you need the extraordinary effort that it takes to amend the Constitution. Now, if you give to those many provisions of the Constitution that are necessarily broad, such as due process of law, cruel and unusual punishments, equal protection of the laws, if you give them an evolving meaning so that they have whatever meaning the current society thinks they ought to have, they are no limitation on the current society at all. And the whole purpose of them is eliminate. If the cruel and unusual punishments clause simply means that today's society should not do anything which it considers cruel and unusual, I mean, it means nothing except to thine own self be true. You know, we think thumb screws are bad, but you know, if you think thumb screws are okay, God bless you. It's not cruel and unusual if you don't think it's cruel and unusual. So, you know, I interpret it the way it was understood by the society at the time. And if you don't, now, this doesn't mean that there aren't new things that come up. Of course you have to apply the text to new phenomena, which the founding generation didn't even know about. But as to the extant phenomena, whether the death penalty is cruel and unusual, whoever voted to make it impossible to have the death penalty? Or to make it impossible, for that matter, to have the death penalty for anyone younger than 21 years of age? Whoever voted for that? Nobody. You make out of the Constitution something that it was never meant to be. And it's all done by a Supreme Court, which is probably, of our political institutions, the one least capable of understanding what the current society really wants. We're not supposed to know what the current society wants. That's not how we're supposed to vote. So why you're going to entrust this institution with keeping the Constitution up to date, if that's what you want to do, which it shouldn't be? You know, even if that were the object, you've picked the worst institution. Do it the way England does it, if you want to keep make nothing of the Constitution. That is to say, the English Constitution is whatever Parliament says. There's no such thing as a law of Parliament that violates the Constitution. Parliament is the trustee of the Constitution. Well, if you believe in the evolving Constitution, that's what we ought to have here. Marbury versus Madison assumes that what the Supreme Court is doing is lawyers' work. Lawyers' work, not evolutionists' work. Anyway, I go on for another half hour.
No, I'm sure you could, and I'd be happy to listen to you. But I want to pick up on that with a question about the meaning of the 14th Amendment. In 1868, when the 39th Congress was debating and ultimately proposing the 14th Amendment, I don't think anybody would have thought that equal protection would have applied to sex discrimination, or certainly not to sexual orientation discrimination. So does that mean that we've gone off on an error by applying to both sex discrimination?
Sorry to tell you that.
No, that's fine. I'm happy to hear whatever you have to say.
If indeed the current society has come to different views, that's fine. You do not need the Constitution to reflect the wishes of the current society. Certainly, the Constitution does not require sexual discrimination on the basis of sex. The only issue is whether it prohibits it. It doesn't. Nobody ever thought that that's what it meant. Nobody ever voted for that. So where do you get it from? If the current society wants to outlaw discrimination by sex, hey, we have things called legislatures, and they enact things called laws. You don't need a constitution to keep things up to date. All you need is a legislature and a ballot box. Things will be as up to date as you like. You don't like the death penalty anymore? That's fine. The Constitution doesn't require it. It simply doesn't forbid it. If you want to eliminate it, vote to eliminate it. You want a right to abortion? To tell you the truth, there's nothing in the Constitution about that. But that doesn't mean you cannot prohibit it. Persuade your fellow citizens it's a good idea and pass a law. You've got the right to abortion. And that's what democracy is all about. It's not about nine superannuated judges who have been there too long, right? Imposing these demands on society. I don't know how we ever came to that notion that it's anyway.
Well.